Hi, you don't know me. I'm Stranger Dave. I'm making a video today about house finches and purple finches. Now what you're looking at here is a male house finch. And they're pretty common in the eastern United States now, but they weren't always. They were introduced into the eastern North America in the 1940s. These birds were sold illegally in New York City as Hollywood finches. And to avoid prosecution under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act of 1918, vendors released a bunch of birds in the New York area. And since then, they've become naturalized and they've expanded all over eastern United States and have actually met up with their native cousins to the west. So the entire United States has house finches. House finches are a desert bird, but they have adapted to living in our area, and they're competitive. They're actually holding their own against house sparrows, which was introduced. And unfortunately, they're also competing with purple finches, and they've kind of pushed them out of a lot of their former range. Now coming up, I'm going to have a picture. I'm going to show you the comparison between the purple finch and the house finch. And feel free to pause and look at that picture and look at the comparison. You will see that the male house finch is much more orangish red. Male purple finch is very rosy. It's a little harder to tell the females apart. You might notice that the female house finch is kind of lightish. You're looking at one right now, lighter grayish brown, where the female purple finch is a little more dark, and especially on the sides of the face. Like I say, if you just pause on that picture, you can look at the comparison. Why I'm doing this is it is a very, very common mistake with bird watchers in the east to misidentify male house finches as purple finches. To a lot of people, it doesn't make any difference. If you want to feed the birds and you just, you like birds and you really don't care to know exactly what you're looking at, you're seeing a red bird, you're seeing a yellow bird, that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. If you are the more serious bird watcher, maybe you want to pass some of this information on to your children, you might want to be more accurate. And it can be a little tricky identifying those two different finches. I will say that every purple finch that I've ever seen, every male purple finch has that rosy color. And I want to say to you, you're not going colorblind. A purple finch is not purple. It's a nice rose red color. Peterson describes it as a sparrow dipped in raspberry juice. That's kind of what it looks like. It's got overall rosy complexion. Whereas the house finch is kind of an orangish red. They go from being orangish red, almost a cardinal red, to being yellow. Now there's the male. I mean, they're a very handsome bird. They're a very handsome bird. But they, like I say, they have competed with our native purple finch and really have kind of pushed him out of a lot of the areas where they used to be. So I wish I was seeing more purple finches. I mean, I will not get purple finches at this bird feeder. It's highly unlikely. They prefer more forested areas now. I think if you go up into Canada, you're much more likely to see a purple finch. Or forested areas of North America, North United States, I should say, you're going to see purple finches. But in backyards like this, not so much anymore, unfortunately. But this particular finch, the house finch, back in the 90s, because it's a desert bird originally, it contracted something called mycoplasmal conjunctivitis. And what this resulted in was respiratory problems and swollen, crusty eyes. Now the birds have recovered. You've heard the old saying, that which doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. Well, I think it made the eastern population of these house finches even stronger, more resilient. And I remember this disease back in the 90s. I remember seeing birds coming to my feeder that you couldn't even see their eyes. And I think without our bird feeders out at that time, a lot of these birds would have starved to death. They couldn't find food. And it also made them much more susceptible to being preyed on by our native hawks. But they're survivors, and they've even though that their populations were hit pretty hard, they have come back very well. I mean, there's no loss of house finches. I mean, there's no shortage of house finches. They're pretty much everywhere. Not as common as house sparrows, but you do see a lot of them. As we're watching this male eat, it's really interesting seeing them stand up to house sparrows. There are a few birds of that size that can actually hold their own against a house sparrow. A house sparrow is a really pugnacious bird, and these house finches will go toe to toe with them and drive them out of the feeder sometimes. And I mean, I have nothing against house sparrows other than the fact, I mean, that they really don't belong here, but they're here, and I like all animals, all birds, but they really their population has just exploded, house sparrows, and we've got way more house sparrows than we need. Look, guys, really packing it away there. So I hope you find this video interesting. I hope you find it educating, informative, and I hope you give it a thumbs up. I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. I would like you to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be putting more and more videos out there. Try to get, at least one a week. And as it warms up, as we get into spring, I think I'm going to get into some more interesting things that I hope you'll enjoy. And I hope more and more of you will be watching my videos and enjoying it along with everybody that's watching them already. So these are the house finches. Like I said in the picture, you can see the comparison between the house finches and the purple finches. And there's a lot of people that they see house finches and they're convinced. My mother-in-law used to used to tell me, "Oh, I see purple finches at my feeder all the time," and I tried one time to tell her, I think those are house finches. No, 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 I saw them in the book. And when people get something in their mind, it's hard to convince them otherwise. And I went through, when I was looking for the pictures for that comparison shot, I went through a lot of pictures that had been misidentified. They were male house finches misidentified as purple finches. So it's a very common mistake. So study that picture, and I think you will be able to positively identify house finches and purple finches in the future. And chances are, if you're living in the city and you see these show up at your feeder, a red finch, you're looking at a house finch. So give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you very much. Goodbye.